Nobody's buying them. So that's a bit of a shocker for me. What people are buying from me in a much higher demand than we've seen are...
We have been talking a lot lately about the price of silver as it keeps going up. But one thing we really haven't talked about is how that is affecting people in coin shops. Now, today I was just speaking with a coin shop owner who says he is surprised by what people are buying and now what they're starting to avoid as the spot price of silver keeps going up. And today we're going to find out exactly what that is, because we're going to be joined by Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion, and he's going to tell us everything that's been going on. So let's get into it. But first, I want to tell you about this new special from my channel sponsor, SD Bullion. You'll see right now, if you buy a full box of 2026 1/10 ounce silver Britannias, you get an entire tube free. Now, that may seem like a pretty high premium, and compared to 1 ounce, it definitely is. But for fractionals, this is actually a really good deal, especially for sovereigns. So if you're interested, check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. And thank you to SD Bullion for sponsoring my channel. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are joined by Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion. Josh, how are you, bud?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. I'm glad to have you. And there's a lot that has happened in this last few weeks since we've had you on last. Silver continues to go. Right now, it's sitting right at around $44 per ounce. And I've talked a lot about that on the channel, so we'll talk about it a little bit, but I want to focus more primarily on what's going on in your shop with these high spot prices as they keep going up. Customers coming in, are they buying? Are they selling? And if so, what are they buying and selling?
Lots of great questions there, and I'll talk about that. For me personally, I've seen a change in customer buying patterns. I've seen a change in what customers are selling, which is quite unusual. And honestly, it surprised me, and I'll dive into that. From a purchasing perspective, what customers are buying in the shop, sales still remain pretty strong despite the high prices, the high spot prices in both gold and silver. We are seeing a lot of new people coming into the shop because, once again, you know, humans have short attention spans. Metal is getting in the news again, right? So people who are maybe on the fence, oh gosh, should I buy silver? Should I buy gold? Now it's on the news. Yeah, I better go in and buy some. So I have new customers coming in, buying in at current prices. The interesting thing is what they're buying, and not just new customers, but regulars as well. Some things that are not selling well for me at all are any size silver bars larger than 10 ounces. I'm accumulating kilo size bars. I'm accumulating 100-ounce bars that the public is selling back to me periodically. There is zero retail demand for those in my market right now. I bet you it's been a month since I've sold either one, which is crazy. Why? Because those right now are the lowest premium you can buy. So you're going to pay the least per ounce for those larger bars, but the demand is virtually zero. So that kind of surprises me, because usually as the spot price gets high, people tend to gravitate towards what's my best deal per ounce. Right now, that's the larger bars. Nobody's buying them. So that's a bit of a shocker for me. What people are buying from me in a much higher demand than we've seen are 1 ounce sovereign silver coins, most specifically American silver eagles. There was a period last week where I was completely sold out of American silver eagles in my shop. I didn't have a brilliant uncirculated one. I didn't even have a slabbed one. I didn't even have a secondary one. They literally, every single one I had in inventory was gone. And that's never happened before. I can't ever remember a time in 11 years where I haven't had a silver eagle on hand. It's kind of crazy. So needless to say, I ordered some, but demand for American silver is strong in my market right now.
So let me ask you this. What about generic rounds? Like you'd said, no one's buying 10-ounce bar, or I'm sorry, kilo bars, 100-ounce bars, but are they still buying the generic like buffalo rounds?
Those are still selling well in my shop, but I had a week-long sale where you could buy 10 ounces in a mystery lot of my choosing. Unless you came in the shop, you could pick your own, but it included 1 ounce generic rounds, 2 ounce rounds, half-ounce rounds and bars, 1 ounce bars, 5 ounce bars, and 10 ounce bars. You could buy 10 ounces at spot, and there was no limit. So yes, those sold very well during that same time period, because you could literally buy a generic silver at spot. But despite that, I still sold a ton of American silver eagles at over $4 more per ounce, just because people wanted that government issued coin. That's what surprised me. So, that sale is over now. It lasted about a week and we moved a lot of ounces, but yeah, those still remain strong despite, we're back to regular price now. For a BU round, we're 75 cents over spot today. Secondary rounds were 50 cents over spot. So those are still selling well. There's still the people that are coming in and buying 1, 2, 3 ounces. They come in, what's their first question? Well, what's the best deal? What can I get the cheapest? And my first answer right now is, well, you can buy 90% silver because I sell that at melt. No premium on that. They're like, I want $9.99. I'm like, okay, well, now here's secondary 1 ounce silver rounds for 50 cents over spot. So yeah, those are still selling well too. And to my point earlier, sales still remain strong, despite, silver keeps going up, 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 up. And my regulars who methodically buy X number of ounces every week, they're still coming in and buying X number of ounces every week, despite the prices going up, because they feel this maybe is just the beginning of a massive bull run.
It might be. Let me ask you a question. I actually had a couple of questions from what you just said there. First one is, you said no one's really buying 90%. That's kind of been the case in a lot of places. You said They just want 9.99. Does anyone say why they'd rather have 9.99 than 90% right now?
Some do. There's people who, well, there's two sides of it. There's usually two types or two thought processes surrounding 90% silver. Somebody like me, my thought process is it's something I want to own. It's recognizable, government issued silver coinage. It's very easily, you can do a quick Google search and know that quarters, dimes, half dollars, 1964 and earlier are made of 90% silver in the US. Along with that camp and my train of thought, why you would want to have that, not just being a government issued silver piece and that it's fractional, just the barterability of it. We don't want to get into a barter type situation because that would be bad for everybody. But those that, prepper type person wants to prepare themselves and have that type of metal on hand. The other side of it is there's people that look at 90% silver as being worn out and dirty and, substandard because it's not that 999 pure. It's those customers that I have that absolutely, they wouldn't touch 90% silver if I was selling it $5 back a spot. They want 999 pure silver because to them, it's in its purest form. I don't know. There's two camps for that. So, but yeah, 90% silver demand is down for sure. And, until we really give it away for a large amount under spot, we're going to be sitting on some.
Yeah, fair enough. Would you say that, as far as people coming in and buying and selling, are there still more people selling than buying, or is it starting to turn?
That's another interesting thing. That is kind of flipped on my end too. When silver was $35 to $38 an ounce, we were buying, some days we were buying $250,000 from the public. That was a rare day. We're a smaller shop, but some weeks, we're spending $500,000 buying from the public. So what do you have to do? You have to turn that really fast or you're out of cash quickly in this business. Now that we're pushing 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, surprisingly, the amount of people liquidating has almost fallen off a cliff. We haven't purchased a sizable amount of bullion since silver has been in the $40 range. And by sizable, I mean even 5 figures. $10,000, it doesn't take many ounces nowadays, right? But people are just coming in with a little bit at a time, a little bag of 90% silver, or maybe they have a 10-ounce bar. But the people who were selling off large amounts, in my part of the world anyway, made that sell-off below $40 an ounce, maybe thinking, here we're going to be at a high for a while, but we've pushed well ahead of that. So I've seen a reversal in trends with the amount of people buying or selling to me in the shop. It's much less than it was in the prior weeks.
So do you think it's possible because people are waiting because it keeps going up that they're, changing their mind on whether or not it's a good time to sell? Or is it possible that just everyone that wanted to sell is out of silver? They've sold it all.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think both. I think, I don't want to insult people, but I'll call them the weak hands, the one that, as soon as they can turn a profit, they're going to sell it, right? I think those people did that already. I know, like I said, we bought a ton of silver in that $35 to $38 per ounce range from the public over a several week period, maybe a month. Those people, their silver's gone, right? They were waiting for the next pullback so they could buy it, rinse and repeat, do that again, but the prices kept ticking forward. Others, yeah, I do know we gave some quotes to people for substantial amounts of silver. I'm talking 8,000 ounces. At the time, silver was around $35 an ounce, and they weren't quite sure if they wanted to sell. Well, they haven't sold yet. So now that it keeps going up, now it's a matter of, well, how high is it going to go? I mean, at what point do I got to just say, yes, I'm happy with this number. I'm going to liquidate and use that cash for something else. So I think there's a lot of inner turmoil for people that are still holding on to their metal, that have the intention to sell, but don't know when the right time is. And I sure don't. I mean, it's a guess on my part and your part as well, but it's an internal struggle for sure for people.
Do you think that and many people are saying we don't predict spot price here, but many people are not saying if we hit 50, but when we hit 50 at this point. Do you think that may be the trigger for those people that are holding to sell to get out at 50? Or do you think 50 will spark even more interest, get silver in the news, and have more people buying instead?
It's a great question. I think 50 right now is the magic number. I mean, if we were talking 6 months ago, I think both you and I can't speak for you, but myself, I would have guessed that 50 was an unrealistic number to hit in 2025. I don't feel that way anymore. I think it's a possibility. I'm not predicting that, but 50 is a magic number, obviously, for reasons, because that would be an all-time nominal high for silver if we can cross over that $50. If that happens, gosh, where does it stop? I mean, is 60 the next target? I don't know. But when, and I believe that number is going to happen sometime in my lifetime. I hope to live a long time. Just for the sheer fact of inflation, $50 silver, 10 years from now isn't going to be all that much, right? I mean, it might be like $30 silver today, who knows? But I believe $50 silver is going to happen. But actually getting maybe near an inflation adjusted all-time high, that would be huge news. And I don't even know what that number is. It depends on if we look back to the 1980s or we look back at 2011, adjust for inflation there. But boy, I don't know.
Well, from my opinion, if I were going to look at an actual inflation adjusted all-time high, I'd look at 2011, not 1980, for reasons that I've talked about on this channel many, many, many times. I think that would be huge. I mean, gold crossed that inflation adjusted all-time high like last year, wasn't it? Was it in 2024 when it did that?
I believe so, yeah.
So, as James said in a video I did with him last week, silver just seems to just now be starting to play catch up. So I think, as he said, and you think, and I think as well, I think there's like a psychological factor playing into the $50 price point that could be huge for silver. But, I also wonder if maybe there's still people out there, and I have no idea, obviously, that have been waiting for 50 to sell. Maybe they picked it up, during that run up in 2011, and they're just waiting for that number to just go ahead and get out of it as well. So I have no idea, obviously, what's going to happen, but it's fun to think about, what's still out there, what people were in it in 2011, and, the news, the headlines hit $50 an ounce silver, and people are like, oh, snap, I have all this silver. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I want to cover one more thing, and it's kind of rewinding what we were talking about earlier. So, and I want to press you a little bit, so, don't get uncomfortable here, but you had said, in regards to Silver Eagles, that you're completely out. You didn't even have calls or, less than perfects. You had no BUs. You didn't even have slabs. And you said that's the first time in 10 or 11 years. Is that including like 2022, 2023, when they were nearly impossible to find?
Yeah, because I had inventory then. You're talking when premiums were ridiculously high.
Yeah.
I had inventory and nobody was buying them from me at that point. And I would honestly, at that point, when we were seeing near $20 premiums on Eagles, I was encouraging people not to buy them. I mean, at that same time, you could buy a silver round for about spot +5, which we laugh at that price now, but that's what they were. But yeah, it does include that time. I had literally never been out of Silver Eagles before. Now, I should preface it. I still have some sets, like the 2 coin sets from the U.S. Mint with like a proof and a BU, or the 3 coin set with a revert. Those that's a separate category. That's more of a collectible eagle, I guess. But yeah, just retail friendly business strike Silver Eagles. We were out last week.
Yeah,
And that had
that's
never, ever happened before.
that's crazy. And you had mentioned we kind of laugh at $5 premiums on rounds now, but I mean, if you think about it, spot plus five back then is way cheaper than just spot today. So
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
maybe it wasn't, and I'm not saying that anyone should be paying five over for Eagles, but I guess my point is that maybe it wasn't so bad to be buying it back then. Now that but hindsight's always 2020. Um,
Exactly.
that said, I was not, and you know this because you watch a lot of my videos, not all of them, but you watch a lot. I was very against Silver Eagles at 15-20 over. Like,
Yeah.
I was telling people for a long time that I wasn't buying them, but to what you were saying with the people coming in and buying them and how you're surprised, I've actually said many many times that I'm a fan of Eagles at like four over. So, remember the U.S. Mint, and you know this, but for those watching, the U.S. Mint does not allow people to buy those directly from them. You have to be what's called an authorized distributor to be able to buy those from the U.S. Mint. You have to buy 25,000 ounces at once minimum, and you still pay the U.S. Mint 305 over spot to get those. So the authorized distributors pay 305 over. Then they sell them to the dealers for a markup, and then the dealers have to mark them up as well. So there's not a lot of room there. You're selling at 425. That's $1.20 between two different people before it gets to the retail customer.
Yeah. Honestly, in a way, you missed a step there because a lot of times those authorized purchasers will sell to large wholesale outfits that aren't authorized purchasers. They mark it up to the dealers who then mark it up to the public. So yeah, there's not a lot of profit margin in bullion.
Yeah.
It's unless you do massive, massive amounts of volume in sales, it's a difficult business. It's really a numbers game, and you're working off just a few percent. And if you get on the wrong side of that,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's always been a high volume, low margin business. And I think it's unfortunate. There's some people I see in comments saying that, like dealers are trying to rip us off charging four over, and they just don't get the context. It's not like dealers are able to go out and buy these Eagles for five back of spot. You know what I mean? It's just not happening. So, but Josh, that's really all I had today, as always. And I hope you prepared for it this time. I always want to open the floor up. Is there anything I didn't cover or anything you wanted to share with the viewers before we go today?
I can touch on something that we didn't talk about. We didn't talk much about gold, and gold keeps hitting all-time nominal highs, or even honestly inflation-adjusted highs too. Gold is still selling strong, specifically U.S. gold or Canadian. Both are pretty strong. I'm having a hard time selling any other type of gold. I'm talking 1 ounce Eagles, 1 ounce Buffaloes, or 1 ounce Canadian Maple Leafs. Those are selling very well in my shop. In fact, I can't keep 1 ounce American gold in stock. I have people coming in every day and they'll buy what I have. I'll order more. That'll be gone. I'll buy some from the public. A few hours later, it'll be gone. There's a huge, huge demand right now in 1 ounce American gold and 1 ounce Canadian gold in my part of the world. Granted, we're an hour and a half from Canada here in Minot, North Dakota. So Canadian's quite popular up here. What's not selling, and surprisingly, is fractional gold. Even though premiums have come down a bit on that, just from a value perspective for the stacker that's trying to get into gold, you can buy a 1 ounce American gold, a 1/10 ounce American gold eagle. I don't have the numbers ready, but let's just say it's about $410 right now with the premium. That's expensive. It's more expensive than it's ever been, but you're going to pay $3,800 for a 1 ounce piece, and not everybody can afford that. So from a value or cost perspective, I'm surprised we're not selling more fractional gold at these high gold prices. I think what it's done, it's scared away the small buyer or the person with not a lot of cash that can afford a full ounce, who used to buy fractional, and now fractional in their mind is getting too expensive. And I think that's pushing them towards silver. But the big buyers that have the means financially are buying 1 ounce gold. And so gold sales, along with, really it's American silver and American gold that are selling well right now. And that's a change. It hasn't always been like that. And it surprises me it took for the price to get as high as it is for that focus to reshift to buying American made products. But that's where we're at right now in my shop.
And it might be just like we had just talked about, that the premiums are coming down that are also shifting people back to American, because for a while, the premiums, including on fractional American Eagles, were insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an interesting point, though, and I like what you brought up, that the people that were buying fractional, they just may be being priced out of it, and
Mhm.
silver is the next go-to. So that might also be why you're seeing a spike in people coming in and buying, silver eagles, because they can't afford the 1/10 ounce gold eagles anymore. Would you say that?
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, well, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll make a whole separate video about gold next time. But
We could. There's a
yeah,
lot to talk about there.
absolutely. Well, guys, if you want to see that video with Josh, do me a favor. Don't forget to subscribe. And subscribe to Josh's channel. I'll put a link down below. He has his own channel, and he has a coin shop, as you probably are well aware at this point, in Minot, North Dakota. So make sure you check him out. Josh, thank you so much for joining us.
Likewise, appreciate you having me. Thank you.